Hey, you're watching Half Asian Tarot Queen. I am Lisa, here to do another reading. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we got the rainbow and we got Pachamama, which is really interesting because I think Pachamama is like, you know, it's like the earth, but it's interesting because Pachamama, I mean, this picture of Pachamama is very fiery. And it's just sort of like the reading that I did, I just did a reading about like sort of rising from the ashes, you know, and I'm getting a lot of that. It's just like this, you know, there's this forest fire kind of happening in the background, and then, you know, like Pachamama rises again, which isn't really the typical interpretation of this, but I'm kind of getting that, you know. It's sort of like I just watched this Netflix series and it was something about like ancient apocalypse or something, and it was just talking about all these different civilizations that have like come before, and like how the earth is so resilient, you know, that like we can get locked into our own perspective of like things staying the same, but really that's kind of not the moment that we're in. Like, and this is like, I feel like speaking to the resilience of the earth to like regenerate, and like this person to like regenerate, and maybe has the support, is in alignment with all that is. And interestingly, we got the rainbow, which the rainbow came out in another reading recently too. And again, this is a card that's like all about alignment, having like all your chakras in alignment, your internal and external worlds in alignment with all that is. And like that is sort of like a recipe for this. I'm really getting this sort of like rise above circumstance. It's like there's been like the storyline of like oppression and like, you know, this truth being told and sort of like upsetting the way that things are. But it's like almost like whatever foundation or has been before. And again, like the reading that I just did, that reading, which I mentioned earlier, but I'm going to point to now. And it was talking about the crumbling of like this sort of institutional order, and like there's going to be like, it's almost like the people who are in alignment with this, that's who's going to like rise, you know, because this resilience, this power to regenerate, is actually more, this is real power. Like it's more powerful than this sort of like institutional things that we've built, you know. And it's almost like it takes that force, like that force of nature, to really like break through. So like I'm really getting this moment of breakthrough kind of from these two cards, which is like, okay, so that's really wild. Let's see what happens to me. Yeah, because right under the rainbow we have lightning tower. It's just like a tower moment. It's just sort of like some sort of it's almost like, you know, the whole thing of this truth coming through, upsetting the apple cart, and that like propelling this rise of like almost like the oppressed earth, or like, you know, just triggering this regeneration that's like more powerful than any institutional order that has come before. Like it's taking that kind of power to overcome it. Okay, I'm gonna go to the Muse and and see what we get here. But it's just like, wow, this is really, it's really intense. Okay, I'm gonna shuffle. Like when I pulled it out of the deck, this was at the bottom, and that was at the bottom yesterday. So I think I'm gonna shuffle just because, you know, we wanna see what kind of new message might come through. All right. All right, okay. So when I did the split, oh my gosh. So we got the Sun and we got the Page of Inspiration. So this is good news, and this is like the happiest card of the deck. It's so funny because this morning I made this pineapple kefir. It's like really good for your gut, and I made it from pineapple juice, and like I woke up this morning and it was like totally bubbling, and like it just had this like glow, and it was just sort of like, you know, it's when it's like perfectly ripe and like it's like drink me, like I'm completely like in my most sort of like fertile moment, you know. And like I put a picture of it on my social media, and then on the background I put do 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 do. So it's like and it's like yellow because it's pineapple, so it's like funny that this comes up, but it's just like I probably should like drink that like as soon as I get done doing this. Yeah, so something really good. Like, and then underneath the Sun we have the Seven of Inspiration, which is really, I mean, because I was speaking to this breakthrough, and that's kind of what this is. It's just like this person is like pushing back all the lies, all the illusion. They're pushing it aside to make room for this light to shine through, you know? This wounded warrior is doing it. And they're breaking through. Like, we have good news, and we have, oh my gosh, we have this Two of Voices, which is kind of like a stalemate, but then we have this Eight of Wands coming through and like shaking things up, you know? So, oh my gosh, this is like a true, like, really climactic moment, you know? It's like one of those things where it's just like, I think whatever the oppression was so profound that it's just like, you kind of start to, it's like when it's sort of like institutional, you're like, oh yeah, this will change. I'll believe it when I see it, you know? But it looks like it actually is, like, there was a reading I did not that long ago called If It Keeps On Raining, the Levee's Gonna Break. I'll put here, and I think this is kind of like, it was speaking to this moment that was like coming, but like this reading kind of speaks to like this moment is here, like the levee is breaking, things are changing, this institutional structure is crumbling, and nature is sort of like, oh my gosh, breaking through. Okay, so we have the Five of Potions. So that's like the Five of Cups. Disappointment, loss, some disappointing situation. But then we have the Seven of Candles. So like really kind of standing your ground against whatever this is. It's interesting because like in the last two readings I've been talking about like Harry and Meghan, the documentary, and that kind of being in alignment with the energy. And like in a way, like that's kind of the story. It's just sort of they're standing up to this institution of like sort of like the tabloids. And you know, I mean, for Harry it's like really a important issue for him because that's how his mom died, you know. So I'm sure like that seems like such a profound injustice that needs to be righted, but it's so institutional, and they have so much power that it's like, oh, it's never going to change. But like this kind of speaks to it is changing. Like the change is upon us, because this is judgment. You know, Santa's checking over his list and who's been naughty and who's been nice. And it's like people are actually looking at the institutional order and being like, you know, does this really serve us anymore? Like maybe this is outdated. Like I feel like this is kind of like a moment for that. And then we have the devil. Like maybe this institution has gotten toxic, and like maybe it needs to end, you know? And then we have the Nine of Potions. So that's a card of healing and of wishes coming true. So it's just sort of like there's this moment of reckoning here. And it's going to require like standing your ground and like really, you know, standing in your power and just like being firm, you know. But like it looks like this super toxic whatever is it's going to be outed, like it's going to be exposed. And there have been a lot of readings leading up to this too about like this toxic cycle coming to an end and this new thing happening. And this is kind of speaking to that, like it's speaking to that happening now. Like that whole process is happening now in real time. Like it's starting to surface, you know. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the Work Your Light Oracle. Oh my gosh. So when I pulled it out of the deck, at the bottom of the deck, we have Warrior Woman. Have you answered your deepest calling? Like sometimes it's like your destiny to stand up and fight, you know. If something's wrong, it's like sometimes it's like not worth it to just like stand your ground, and it's just like this isn't worth it, just let it go, you know, like move on. It's not worth your energy. But sometimes it's so wrong that it's like predestined, like this is part of your soul journey, like you have to address this. And I'm sure like, you know, like Harry feels like that about the whole media thing, you know, because it's like happening to his wife. It happened to his mom died from it. So for him, it's just like, no, this isn't okay. Like he's just like, like he said it several times in the doc, he feels like it's his destiny to like make a stand against this issue. Like that's how important it is to him. It's like his soul is calling him to address it. And that's kind of what this is. It's just like, it's that important. Like usually you would just let it, you know, slide, or, you know, you might just be like, it's not worth the drama. But this time it is. And this speaks to a reading really heavily, to the reading called Legend of the Sword, which I'm going to link there. And it says, the other card that came out is, you're already doing it. Stop overthinking. Keep facing your true north. So it's sort of like, it can feel overwhelming. Like this is too much. Like I'm only one person. Like I can't take on this institution. Like, but what the cards are saying is like, you're being called to do this. When I looked at this up, we had the Council of Light, Divine Orchestration, Helpers in the Subtle Realms. Like you have support behind you. It's like you need to, it's your destiny. You need to answer the call. And if you're feeling overwhelmed and like this is too much and like, you know, you couldn't possibly take down this powerful institution, the cards are saying you already are doing it. You know, you're already standing your ground. Like just keep going. So, wow, this is like really a deep message. So, yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it there. I think that's a good place to end it. But yeah, it looks like lots of fireworks for the holidays, so I might just keep pumping out the readings, because sometimes, you know, you do readings and like not much changes from day to day, and so it's just sort of like, what's the point? But right now it feels like every day the message is like shifting, so just keep at it. I'll keep you posted.